I have Patrick and Tom with me, and some very interesting questions that we have for both of you. One of the exciting things that we've seen last year is the partnership that both Cesium and Bentley Systems have had. Can you explain what has been the vision behind this partnership, and how do you see it driving the geospatial value chain going forward, particularly focusing on the infrastructure and engineering industries?
I would start with some context, which is the partnership with Cesium is not new. Bentley and Cesium have collaborated for many years around standards, around integrating product features, and even the most basic things of working together in the community together. We share sort of commonality. We're closely physically proximate. So I would say it's not new. The vision was that we have come to realize more over time at Bentley that infrastructure assets by their very nature are all geospatial scale, and that we could do better to provide a way for our users to sort of interrogate, navigate, and interoperate with those assets in geospatial context. And so that started the sort of, I'd say, acceleration to this more strategic relationship we had with Cesium. I was thrilled because of the technology, the openness, the approach, the authenticity, but really the ability to Patrick and his team come into Bentley and help shape the way we think about the future for integrating geospatial workflows. That's the vision that motivated our interest in doing a transaction.
Yeah, so Tom tells the story very well. And yeah, I mean, it goes back, I'd say the relationship of Cesium and Bentley is probably almost 10 years. You know, when we come together to do something enduring and really legacy creating, having that, knowing that we're values aligned, we're vision aligned is really, really important. But with Cesium, you know, we've always been guided by the community, by doing open source development, engaging with the developers, hearing where they think the technology should go, and then we listen. We started in aerospace. I still remember when Red Bull picked it up to do the X-Alps because of the Terrain engine, and it kind of was like, whoa, we're in geospatial too. And over the years, we started to learn, hey, we're in architecture, engineering, construction, we're in infrastructure. And as we started to do a plugin for Revit or do IFC import, we saw, wow, there's a lot to that. And a lot of our users are combining the natural and the built environment. So when we had that phone call, Tom, your 10th phone call maybe, and I'm hearing Tom talking about this vision, I'm like, that's exactly what we're doing. And if we come together, we're going to go farther and faster.
One of the other partnerships that you've done is with Google Maps. So that means there's a lot of change that is going to happen when it comes to the ripple effect that is going to be created for the geospatial industry. How do you see these partnerships create that ripple effect moving forward?
Cesium helped create the OGC community standard 3D tiles, and Google adopted that to provide their photorealistic 3D tiles to the developer community. And it's really interesting, the use cases, what the community is doing with that, and how quick they started picking it up like within hours of an initial release. But with the power of open standards, we've been able to put together this very compelling ecosystem or facilitate that ecosystem. What we saw when we walked in was that fly out from the stadium where the game was happening to LA where the announcers were. That was done by Fox Sports. They used Unreal Engine, Cesium 3D tiles, and Google photorealistic 3D tiles. So this type of partnership unlocks these really unique use cases, and I think it also puts geospatial on the world scale and gives us something really fun and relatable to tell our friends and family, you know, what we in this room do as professionals.
The use case that Patrick cited, that is the reason why we at Geospatial World say that the industry has the potential to reach to a $1 trillion market by 2030, because these kind of partnerships and collaborations are what is going to drive the market, and to have new cases like this to drive the market to such a big number. How does asset analytics play a critical role, and what value will this partnership deliver in terms of asset analytics? What are the real world use challenges also that you might have seen which might have driven this partnership?
If we think of the sort of asset workflow, you know, the traditional design, construction, operations, decommissioning, the opportunity to sort of leverage geospatial technologies and data spans it all. As we sort of, if we look at the relationship that we're, and I stress we're early, we're literally, you'll hear me repeat this, we're at the starting gate with Google and even with Cesium. The ability to sort of add really rich geospatial context to our designers and to our users as they create new infrastructure assets is critical. letting them design in context matters. There have been ways for them to do it before, but for them to integrate it and do that as part of their design sessions is important. So we had announced that as part of all of our open applications, we're integrating Google photorealistic 3D tiles as part of those products. There's clearly lots of other motions that are interesting. Google has lots of other data that would be interesting for infrastructure professionals to leverage. It could be mobility data, it could be transportation data, it could be data from the large corpus of data from Google Earth Engine that can help inform making more resilient and more reliant infrastructure. And so there's lots of work streams in flight, but the things that we have talked about publicly so far have been around integration into our design tools. If we go to the other end of the stage, owner-operators as a class and correspondingly engineering services firms that support them have a challenge. They've got many challenges, but on the owner-operators face this issue of how do you cost-effectively interrogate and inspect your built-world infrastructure? It's geospatial scale. And these challenges for that infrastructure assessment, there's many commonalities, whether it's a transmission distribution electrical system, whether it's a water or wastewater treatment, whether it's a owner of road data. It all typically follows a workflow of, let me find my data in the real world, let me geospatially locate it, let me assess it or assign it to a system of record. Please tell me when it's changed so you can trigger some sort of workflow that can support that. And I think we view this joint partnership motion, both with Google and with Cesium, as providing a set of platform enabling tools that let both owner-operators build their own solutions, as well as engineering services firms deliver the things that owner-operators want. So that's sort of a sense of the way we see these partnerships activating the asset analytics workflow.
So from an interoperability point of view, how does this partnership between Bentley and Cesium address the need for interoperable and open standards? And why is this going to be critical for geospatial adoption?
So certainly from a personal perspective, one of the things that made me most excited for Cesium to join Bentley was our alignment around this belief in open standards, belief in interoperability. If we're here to serve developers and allow them to build with best-in-class components, everything needs to be able to connect. Bentley actually funded a lot of the early work on 3D tiles and a lot of the open source work in Cesium.js. So now with Cesium joining Bentley, we're able to continue that mission, but on a new stage, at a new scale, and with a broader breadth, right? Geospatial and infrastructure. So certainly as you look at the 3D tile spec, adding things like voxel data, time dynamic data so that you can see the change in a construction site over time and do so efficiently, semantic metadata and how it relates to each other. And my sense is we're at the exact moment, almost the exact day, right, where the industry should have a conversation of where are we in that trajectory and what should we do. I've found Bentley to be very supportive in us wanting to engage and facilitate advancing open standards.
5 years down the line, how do you see this partnership evolve? And what other industries do you think this partnership can serve beyond infrastructure and engineering industry? Because I know Cesium is being used in a lot many places, right from Earth observation to space companies, everywhere. So how do you see this partnership evolve?
I'm very much overcredited with the vision of Cesium, right? We did this open source development. We're constantly talking to the community. We see some patterns. We advance it for the collective success here. So I see myself much more maybe of a gatherer than a hunter. So to pick an individual industry, whether it's going to be rail or water or bridges, is not something I really want to do. I don't think that my instinct here would be better than anyone else's in this room. But I do feel that this geospatial DNA, this geospatial fabric, it's going to touch everything. We're already doing it.
So many comments.
Now, I would just amplify the last statement, which is I think that is the truth. I think conferences like this, all of you feel it. There is this coming integration between better sensors, better data collection modalities, cheaper data collection, the way to process the data, the new processing techniques, and then it's all driven ultimately by what our users want. And what we clearly hear, what our users want is to interrogate, interact, and navigate with infrastructure data in the Bentley world in a geospatial environment. I think we're only going to have more of that.
Thank you. One of the things that I think Rob mentioned was that we're looking at partnerships, collaborations, and community. We have a partnership. Now, could you stress on what is the impact that it could have on innovation and on community from your perspectives?
I think community by way of community listening to our community of users, and then the community of third parties that can build and extend and build applications leveraging our platform technologies. I think that, again, not to sort of put it too fine of a point in time to sort of say you're at this inflection point, but at least for Bentley, we are very platform centric, very much a believer in that we don't know the outcomes. We expect our users to pull us direction, but at the end of the day, we expect users to want to build their own solutions and for there to be a robust group of people who want to solve problems for them. And if we think about like mission centricity, what is our mission? Our mission is to provide them the best tools to let them get the job done. And so that is something we're very excited about.
See, this is why Cesium joined Bentley, because my answer is very similar. When you look at the theme today, right, from sensors to services, well, there's so much data that we're collecting, more so than ever before. Then on the other side of that value chain, there's so much user demand and user need, right? No one company solves everything in the middle. It is the collective ecosystem and that future potential. So we feel providing that platform that, of course, does serve our first-party applications, but also serves that much broader ecosystem. That's where all the innovation is.
I think very well put out. No one solves one problem. It has to be an ecosystem approach. If you had to distill the essence of this partnership into just 3 powerful words that define its purpose, impact, legacy, what would they be and why?
Empowered users and developers.
Open platforms win.
Thank you so much, Tom and Patrick. I think this was a very interesting discussion. Thank you so much for being here.